This exclusive video from Syria has never before been seen on television. What you're witnessing is what many consider a supernatural phenomenon. Since the early 1980s, Maria al-Akaras, known as Mirna, spontaneously begins to bleed from all over her body. It happens on Good Fridays and lasts for hours. She bleeds from her palms, her feet, and from her side. These wounds, of course, correspond to the wounds inflicted on Jesus during the crucifixion. And those scratches on her forehead, that's where Jesus wore a crown of thorns. Mirna is experiencing the phenomenon known as stigmata.
The stigmata is a phenomenon that can be traced back for centuries, that a person just suddenly has wounds appear and they start bleeding.
Hal Lindsey is an author and biblical scholar.
There's enough evidence that this has happened, not just now, but over the centuries, that I think it's a genuine experience. This is something that is out of the normal course of nature. It's a supernatural occurrence.
The video was shot by Dr. Antoine Mansour, a Beverly Hills surgeon and clinical professor at the UCLA School of Medicine. Mansour was initially a skeptic.
I'm a leader in my field, and I have a name, and I don't want to be involved in something that turns to be not real.
But the doctor was fascinated by Mirna. Most of the time she seems to be a normal young mother who dotes over her 2 children. But then there are the days that she suffers, a suffering whose origin and meaning are anything but normal. Dr. Mansour began to shed his initial disbelief when he saw for himself what Mirna endured.
There was nobody there except myself, my family, members of her family, and she was walking in agony, and I did not understand what's going on. And I told my wife, why don't you hide, and I want the camera to video her and see what's going to happen. While she was walking on her way to go and have rest in her bed, the camera spotted blood coming from the forehead, gushing bright red. And then when Mirna felt the blood seeping over her nose, she wiped it, and she was looking for us to see that the stigmata started. After a while, the people start to expose the feet. I saw a red knob, and then this red knob start to open, and the blood came out of it. And it's a view of how Jesus was hammered with a nail. I was really astonished, because I couldn't believe before that this could happen. Now I'm witness myself. I'm seeing it with my eyes, but I want to see more. So I waited, and after a short period, the hands, the palm of the hands in the middle, also appeared red knob on each one, and simultaneously blood started to appear the left side of her body.
What amazed Dr. Mansour as much as Mirna's spontaneous bleeding was how miraculously her wound seemed to heal.
The wound closed and healed completely in few hours. It takes about, in the abdomen, 1 week, in the peripheral extremities, maybe 10 days to 2 weeks, and so forth. But to have a wound to close in few hours, we never heard about it. It is not possible for a human being to do this. It's impossible to fool a physician. We know all the tricks.
Dr. Mansour was so amazed by what he witnessed that he invited other doctors to study her stigmatic condition.
One is a thoracic surgeon, and one was an anesthesiologist, and they all came back with the same conclusion, that it's impossible that her phenomena can be explained scientifically and medically. We are witnessing a supernatural phenomenon.
A phenomenon that has been officially recognized by the Greek Orthodox Church as a miracle. Mirna herself professes neither joy nor sorrow over her stigmatic experiences. To her, it's beyond human comprehension. However, it has led many to view this otherwise ordinary woman as a messenger from God.
One night when I was at Tony Hanna's home, who is in one of the Lebanon villages, and Mirna was with us, she did experience ecstasies, and I was observing, and all of a sudden her husband insisted and pushed me to examine her while she was in ecstasy. And here's my observation, my testimony. as a physician, the first thing that I do that I touch her hands and then the pulse, and I felt like the hands were very rigid, like somebody is dead. What we call in medical terms rigor mortis, which is the third stage. After we die, our body will be soft and then semi-rigid and then became completely rigid like a wood. And then I tested the pulse. It was so rapid. At that point, I did not understand much why the pulse is rapid. So I went to the eyes and I examined the pupils. They were narrowed. And I was also surprised because the hole was big and there was only one small bulb, so practically speaking it was a dark area, and at that time the pupil should be dilated. So a lot of explanation came to my head, but I didn't want to say anything at that point. So the pulse was rapid, was weak, like she's in shock, and the pupils were narrow. So I waited until she finished her ecstasies, and I asked her a question: "What's happening now? Can you see me?" She said, "Yes, not much because I see light." And I said, "Can I examine your pupils again?" And I did, and was still narrow. Several minutes later, she came back normal, and I asked her if I can examine her pupils again, and she came back normal. That means during the ecstasies, there was a hidden light that all of us observing her did not see it. She, the only one, was seeing the light. And that's explained to me why the pupils were narrow. As far as the rigid body and the rapid pulse, like in shock, it seems like somebody is dead, but the spirit goes up, meet the Creator, and the Creator is light, and she was seeing the light. So I did not want to say anything at this time because it took me a long time to give my testimony, but sometimes later I did explain this explanation, and I put it in our book, Myself and My Wife.